So, did you grow up listening to George? I know I did. We're
Oh
about the
God,
same age. I mean, he's the reason I listened to
I
country
listened
music.
to George Jones my whole life, and I was so fascinated with him. You know, I love Merle Haggard and Willie and Waylon and Hank Williams and Hank Jr. and Conway Twitty. Just all of them have influenced me, but George is the main, heaviest influence, and probably not only because of his singing, but because you know we're from Beaumont. We both grew up in and around Beaumont, singing in them same old honky tonks. When I came along, when I was a teenager in my early 20s, singing in some of the clubs around Beaumont, those are some of the same places he had been in the 50s. You know, they're not there now, but they were there back then, and I played in them. And I think after we met and spent some time together, he knew that I was from Beaumont, and I think that's why he would sit and talk to me. He would tell me stories about stuff that went on and places he played and people he knew. And he would ask me questions about certain things. He hadn't been there in years. And I think he felt a connection there. And because he always would come up to the bus and sing with me and play guitars and just visit with me when we were touring together.
Man, that's so special. I mean, I
Yeah,
think,
and I don't have a picture of that at all. Of course, it was just me and him.
yeah.
He wouldn't come on the bus if there were other guys in there. He'd wait till they're doing a sound check, and then he'd open the door. Anybody in here? Come on in. He'd come in and he'd sit there and he'd drink a beer or two, and then he'd smoke some cigarettes, and he'd ask me for my guitar. And those are memories that's in my mind now, and that's the best thing
Yeah.
that ever happened. Hearing that voice, just one on one. He had a way of singing. When he would sing, he would look right in your eyes. You know, he would sing right through you, right at you. He wanted you to feel that song, and that's just amazing.
It just seems to me like he was a natural, and I don't even know if he knew exactly what he had. He just had it.
He didn't. He was really humble, but it didn't start out that way. Everybody that knew him in Beaumont used to tell me when he was young, running around Beaumont, they all George knew he was good. They say he was good, and he'd tell you he was good. Of course, he wasn't that way in later years. He was real humble, real polite,
Yeah.
real nice guy.
Well, it's wonderful that you have those memories that you
Yeah,
can
it is.
hold on to. And I think as far as vocal stylist and country music, and um, when I was listening to your new song last night, and then I listened again this morning, and then I was remembering all my old favorite Mark Chesnutt songs. You have a way with your voice that's it's kind of similar to George with just the way you express yourself with your voice. I mean, I think you really do.
Well, thank you. I'll take that as a compliment. Um, I think a lot of that has to do with coming from the same area, you know, and people from Southeast Texas have a different slang, a different dialect, and if you spend any time talking to George Jones, you could hear it. He talked just like the rest of us down there, and I don't know how to explain it, but and it happened with the singing. Of course, I studied him word for word, everything he did my entire life, and I still do. And so it was natural that it just kind of stuck with me.